Welcome back to the Deep Dive series, where each and every episode we take a look at a different NFL team and come up with a realistic outcome and prediction for them going into the 2022 NFL season. Remember, we wrap this up in a nice, pretty little bow by doing a 2023 NFL mock draft based on these predictions that I just came up with. Not just came up with, I went through it during the summer, but you know what I mean. We're going over the Baltimore Ravens today. Hey, quick update, prospect rankings start tomorrow. We're starting bright and early because that's what y'all voted on in the community tab. And we're going to be looking at the wide receiver class. That's going to be a banger. I look forward to pushing more of those out for you in the next few weeks. But what's crack-a-lackin'? It's your boy, Broshmo, just in case you did not know. So let's go ahead and take a look at the Baltimore Ravens. Because let me tell you, man, this team, they were hurt last year. They're not going to be hurt this year. However, I think my biggest questions for this team come with the offense, because it is going to be piloted by Greg Roman and Lamar Jackson. And I like Lamar Jackson. Greg Roman, though, hey, let's give the guy his due. Since joining with the Ravens, Roman's done a great job at, I would say, making an offense designed around one of the most athletically gifted quarterbacks of all time. Let's call a spade a spade. He made this offense tailored for Lamar Jackson and all his strengths, and it's worked well. And then last year, not so much. Granted, there was a lot of injuries, but you could even see in the year before, in the was it the divisional round where they faced the Titans? Oh, I can't remember. Was that even 2020? It may have been 2019. I don't know, man. Time's up. Fill in the blank. But Roman, let's go over what the scheme he's run up to now, and maybe talk about maybe a few things that he might change this year, because I do think he has to change. He has to evolve, and that's his words, not mine. But Roman primarily runs this power gap blocking scheme when it comes to the run game, utilizes a lot of extra blockers, whether it's a tight end, or a second tight end, or bringing the fullback on the field, who they have one of the best in the league in Patrick Ricard. They use a lot of condensed formations. That's why it was easy for teams to just load the box on them and be like, whatever, beat us with your arm, Lamar. And when it comes to those condensed formations, it's a little tougher, especially if you're bringing in maybe like 12 or 22 personnel. It's a little tougher to get guys to sell those vertical routes. So what happened is they saw the play action working, being less and less efficient. Though that it's not like they run a ton of screens in this screens or RPOs in this scheme. But coming into this year, they were like, yeah, we know we gotta get better at the passing game, and like straight up, I thought they made quality additions. I liked them bringing in Keith Williams to be the passing game specialist. They also brought in T. Martin as the receivers coach, and this was supposed to open up the passing game, bring in some new ideas to help Greg Roman. And basically what we saw was, they added pre-snap motion. And it's just like, listen, Greg Roman, I was looking at their OTOs and some of the comments he made, and he was like, I'm not dumb. I hear the criticism. He said that this team, that they need to be able to pass more, that the pass game needs to be a part of this offense. This offense needs to evolve. And now, does that mean he does? That it does? I don't know. Like, we've seen, like, Lamar Jackson can sling the ball, man. Like, at the beginning of 2021, man. Like, that Colts game? My goodness. Lamar Jackson just went off in the second half. Like, he's a guy capable of, like, being for the most part, an accurate passer. Is he the most accurate passer? Not always. I think he's got a really good deep ball, but he can be accurate. I think people really take the piss out of him when they're like, oh man, he is the best running back at quarterback in the league, and it's like, I don't think that's necessarily the case. But I think the biggest question will be, does this offense evolve whatsoever? But let's go ahead and look at the actual roster in terms of the offenses. They got some names that you might be familiar with, like Lamar Jackson. They bring back Tyler Huntley, who was actually a pretty solid backup last year, and also Brett Hundley. He's probably not going to make the roster. He could if they want to keep 3 quarterbacks, but I think they probably just keep Huntley instead of Hundley. And then Anthony Brown, practice squad at best. Like I said, the running game, huge part of this, whether it's Lamar Jackson or the actual running backs doing the dang thing. And J.K. Dobbins comes back healthy, didn't play a game last year because he got hurt. I think Gus Edwards was also down last year. They bring in Mike Davis, as well as a few interesting UDFAs. And I'm surprised that they got Justice Hill that far down on the depth chart, because like he is legitimately different than anything they have on this roster currently. Though Tyler Beatty, I actually could be a replacement for Justice Hill. So be on the look for that, man. See if Hill makes the roster. If not, then it's probably Beatty, because I think they're going to have a scat back. And like, you want variety in your running back room. And Beatty and Hill bring something a little bit different. Ricky Person, he's probably not making the team, but it's probably definitely Davis, Edwards, and Dobbins. Then they got Ben Mason, probably going back to the practice squad because you got Patrick Ricard. Looking at the tight ends, got one of the best tight ends in the league in the form of Mark Andrews. You got a very good tight end too in Nick Boyle. They bring in Charlie Collier, who's going to be a fabulous tight end too as well. Isaiah Likely is more this guy. If they want to stick to those more condensed formations, or maybe they want to keep at least a big body there in the slot, Isaiah Likely is probably that guy. Because I mean, if anything, he's going to be the replacement for Josh Oliver, a guy who just can't stay healthy, dating back to his days with the Jags, I believe. Tony Paul-Jean, just dude's got a good size. That's it. I don't know if he's going to be much of anything. Maybe on the practice squad. Maybe released. Former, I think he was Virginia, and then he went to Central Michigan, and he was a former quarterback, moved to tight end. Crazy guy. Crazy. But yeah, he's probably not making this roster. I think they probably stick with Likely and Collier as those 2 tight ends behind Boyle and Andrews. Looking at the offensive line, because you know what? If they're going to have a good run game, they better have a good offensive line. And they do. Ronnie Stanley, stay healthy. Just stay healthy, bud. At left guard, I really think it's going to be Ben Cleveland. I was very encouraged with what I saw from Cleveland at parts of last season. I think he ended up getting hurt early on, but I like what I saw. They could go Ben Powers. Ben Powers is always like, he's just a very good depth option, very good replacement level starter. Moving Tyree Phillips back to guard after playing a lot of right tackle last year. To be fair, a lot of that had to do with injuries. I think is a good fit. He's a guy you want to that just can't function at tackle in the NFL. That was kind of the thought process on him coming out of Mississippi State, I believe. Then of course Tyler Linderbaum, freaking love it. Tristan Colin, former Mizzou guy, get out of here. Give me Linderbaum, dude. I was a big fan. They got Kevin Zeitler, who's just been one of the better guards of what is it, like a decade now. Again, I think Ben Cleveland's going to challenge Ben Powers for left guard. I think those are the 2 guys you're going to see at left guard. Morgan Moses, very good pickup. Going to come in there and play right tackle. They got Daniel Faalele, who they're going to develop. Probably shouldn't see any time this year. Jawan James is there, but I don't... Is he hurt? He's hurt. No, they signed him last year, right? Knowing that he couldn't play. So I don't know if he's hurt or not. So I think regardless, like, he's probably depth at this point. We didn't talk about Patrick Makari, who's been a very good player when called upon. Got got a lot of versatility to him as well. Played right tackle a bulk of the year last year, but has played literally everywhere on the line. Guard, center, and the guy's been very good. To say this guy should be a starter in the NFL. I'm not gonna lie, he should be. Straight up, dude, put him at left tackle. I love Ben Cleveland. He looks like Braun Strowman. He's a mammoth of a man, but Mekari has played very good over the course of his career. So maybe after this contract, he gets a starting gig somewhere. But yeah, no, he's been very good. So again, they got a very good offensive line in tow there. Now with the passing game, the biggest questions are gonna come from, hey man, do we got receivers? Do we have receivers? And Rashad Bateman, I thought looked pretty good at the last part of last season. I thought he looked capable. He showed a lot of promise. You got Devin Duvernay, who's likely going to be the other starter there. I mean, 60% of his snaps came in the slot last year. Was it 60? 60. It was 60. But when you're looking at guys who played wide, he's literally... It's him and Tylan Wallace are the two guys that have the most outside experience outside of Bateman on this roster, coming back from last year, because they don't have Sammy Watkins anymore. He played 87% time on the outside. Marquise Brown is gone. He played 68.5%. Miles Boykin, he's not on the roster anymore, but that's kind of whatever. But he played 75% on the outside. So, between Tylan Wallace and Devin Duvernay, those are going to be the two guys. James Proche is more of a special teamer, but I like putting him in the slot. I like the idea that, dude actually played pretty well last year. What was his forced missed tackles? The curiosity. None last year? Dang, James Proche, calm down. But yeah, so looking at the other guys, Benjamin Victor out of Ohio State a few years ago could make the roster. He's got a good body, but they also bring in a lot of UDFAs at receiver, a lot. Devin Williams and Mekhi Polk are the two guys that stand out because they got big bodies. If I'm remembering that correctly, I'm pretty sure Devin Williams is kind of a freak. He's 6'5", 220, right? Or maybe 200. Devin Williams. Okay, 6'5". Give me his weight. 211. 6'5", 211, and then I know Mekhi Polk isn't as big, but he's pretty big in his own right. 6'3". Give me your weight. Give me your weight. Give me your weight. And just under 200 pounds. So yeah, just a little smaller. But the bigger receivers that are capable of playing on the outside, if either of those two guys make the roster, I would be surprised. Slade Bolden's a slot guy through and through. I'm actually surprised that he didn't get picked up by the Patriots. Maybe he did and they just didn't like him. They moved off from him very quickly, but he's a UDFA, so kind of is what it is. So I'm not going to lie, dude. I think Williams and Polk probably make the roster over maybe a guy like Victor or Jalen Moore. Perhaps. If anything, I think maybe Victor's the guy that goes. But that's going to be another thing. Do they keep 6 receivers or 5? They honestly, with how this team operates, they could probably keep 5 receivers and call it a day. But that's the offense for you. Even if the passing game doesn't open up, this is still, I would say, a mid-tier offense. They're still capable of moving the ball just because of how good the offensive line is, how good they are at running the football, and just the insane weapon they have in Lamar Jackson. So let's go ahead to the defenses. We got Mike McDonald, had a farm, EIEIO, but he's actually making his return to the Ravens. I guess let's kind of go over what a little bit of his background, as he was formerly a defensive coach for the Ravens from 2014 to 2020, and then went to Michigan to be the DC for John Harbaugh's brother there. Make sure I got my Harbaugh's correct. You got John Harbaugh and I want to say Jack. That's not right. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Jim. It's Jim. Son of a gun, dude. It's Jim. I should have known that. Stinking J words. J pronouns. Golly. But anyway, he went over. He did a really good job at being the DC for Michigan. And then he makes his triumphant return back to Baltimore now as a defensive coordinator. So I'm not expecting there to be a lot of changes, at least schematically, maybe some changes in what they do. So let's kind of get into that, because I do think that compared to, who was it, Don, oh my gosh, I'm blanking on his name, who was the DC for Baltimore last year. Martindale. I was thinking Don Winkdale, but it's like Wink's his nickname, dude. Martindale, there we go. Who, to be fair, was probably one of the most blitz-happy coordinators in a history. Like, his blitz rate from 2018 to 2020, and I'll talk about 2021 in a moment, was 46%. There was one year where his blitz rate was like well over like 56, 57%. But in 2021, they had a lot of injuries, especially in the secondary. So it's like, I'm not going to put my guys on an island like that. So we saw his normal blitz rate of 46% over the prior 3 years drop to a whopping 31%, which was still the sixth most in the NFL. So in all honesty, because in the press conference for Mike McDonald, he was like, we don't have to be aggressive doesn't mean we have to blitz. We can be aggressive in a variety of different ways. So I still think this is going to be a very blitz happy team, because keep in mind, McDonald worked under Martindale. He sees Martindale as a mentor. I think it'll probably be closer to that 31% that they saw last year, because I don't think he wants to put his corners on an island as much. I think we're going to see a bit more zone. This team's going to still be a man-heavy coverage, but I think we're going to see a bit more zone, and I think the addition of a guy like Marcus Williams, just a super rangy safety, is that, hey, don't worry, we're not going to put these corners on an island anymore. And there's been actually a lot of praise from Mike McDonald in the past when he was the linebackers coach, just with how he utilizes his linebackers. That actually stretches out to edge rushers as well. But how he utilizes the guys that he plays to their strengths, that if they're very versatile in one regard or in a few regards, that he will use them in a plethora of different ways. Like Tyus Bowser is literally a prime example of that, a guy that's just so versatile. So let's just go ahead and take a look at the roster, because let me tell you, there's a lot of depth on this squad. Calais Campbell, again, probably he's at the downslope of his career, still hella good. Michael Pierce returns after a not so great stay in Minnesota. Justin Matabuke, maybe we see him emerge. I wouldn't say he really did a lot last year. He played a little under 500 snaps, and it was all right. It was okay. I mean, the big reason they bring in Travis Jones, a guy with, he's not just a nose tackle. He's a very versatile body type, just a bully. They do have Broderick Washington, who I thought was a UDFA a couple of years ago. This is the cat out of Florida State. I don't know why. Texas Tech comes to mind as well. This is what happens when you cover the draft for oh so long, you start blending guys together. It was Texas Tech. I don't know where I was getting Florida State from, but I was like, I think he's from Florida State, but Texas Tech is coming to mind. All right, so a guy that he's been on the roster. He's been a very good depth piece. A guy that they rotate in occasionally. So like they look really good. I didn't even mention Brent Urban, who's just a solid player, a very solid player, a good rotation player at this point, maybe an early down guy. So like the defensive line is looking good. When we look at the edge rushers, obviously they got Odafe Owe, who had a very good rookie season, very successful rookie season where he had 49 pressures, 5 sacks. So it's like, again, don't let people like try to tell you like, whoa, he only had this many sacks. It's like, go look at that pressure rate, man. That tells me all I want to know. Justin Houston's back here, as well as, of course, Tyus Bowser, who's a guy that they actually like using in coverage quite a bit, as well as, let's actually take a quick look at his coverage. Yeah, he had 218 coverage snaps last year. 8 sacks, by the way. Ooh, good for you, bro. 40 pressures. David Ojabo probably not playing this year. He's going to be a red shirt. Vince Beagle, man. I forgot the Dolphins didn't retain him. That's a good pickup. I really like Jeremiah Moon. He's got very good length, good get off. He was a UDFA. He was kind of like for me, he was literally the like Adam Anderson light if you didn't want the baggage Adam Anderson came with. And I like Moon. I think that's a solid pickup. They got a couple of guys that they one they drafted just last year, and Hayes. He was now a second year player out of Notre Dame. I wasn't a big fan of his. I thought he was okay. Stephen Means is actually a pretty good pickup, guy that honestly could end up in the rotation sooner than later. So like they're looking good from a pass rush perspective. Patrick Queen, he really went on a hot streak at the end of the year, so maybe that's more telling of what the player he's going to be this year than what we saw in like his first season and a half. So they bring back Josh Bynes, someone who Mike McDonald's familiar with. He's like, I remember that guy. He was very solid for us, like very good for us when on the field. So he's now back in town. I expect him to be the starter. Malik Harrison, is he ever going to emerge? I don't know. Don't think so. But Josh Ross as a UDFA shouldn't surprise you. Michigan player. So Mike McDonald's like, hey, I remember you. Why don't you come play with me? Zoe McClain, undersized linebacker, flies around the field though. Can't wrap up though. And they also got Diago Faga. That's how I'm gonna pronounce that because I'm not trying to get demonetized. But out of Navy, I believe he actually shined at the Shrine Bowl. So. Yeah, they're fine. It's not like they got a stud. Like maybe Patrick Queen takes that step. I don't know. We'll see. The secondary, things just keep getting better. This defense is really good. Like Marcus Peters and Marlon Humphrey, one of the best cornerback duos in football. Marlon Humphrey for me is like a top 5, top 3 corner in football. I love how versatile he is. He's a guy that can kick into the slot, play on the outside. You could probably say similar things about Marcus Peters, but I feel like Marcus Peters has been primarily an outside guy his whole career. But I'm pretty sure he played a little bit in the slot while with the Ravens. Obviously not last year. But here, let me do this. They bring in Kyle Fuller, who had a uneventful season with the Broncos last year. So if anything, that's good. I don't really see him being the guy that they turn to in the slot. I think the 2 slot guys are gonna be Marlon Humphrey and Brandon Stevens. Brandon Stevens, a second-year player at SMU. So I think that he's probably likely to be the other slot guy. Okay, Marcus Peters, they don't utilize not a lot in the slot, like almost none. All right, which is fair. Oh, I was thinking about LA. That's what it was. Okay. But regardless, again, Humphrey, Brandon Stevens, those are likely the slot guys. They got a guy that I actually liked. I didn't expect him to get drafted, but Damarian Williams. He comes as an undersized corner that probably could vie for the slot, but he's more of a sub-package guy. Even then, I think he might be a guy that makes the practice squad. But they also drafted Jalen Armour-Davis. Looked very good, but a guy that dealt with injury issues, so someone they're probably going to look to develop. But man, Marshall is on the squad, so maybe maybe Williams doesn't make it. Kevon Seymour is kind of a journeyman at this point, but I think he brings good depth. Denzel Williams as a UDFA was one of probably... he was the corner out of Villanova that I thought should have got drafted. I'll just say that. I think part of that, it's like, okay, he's got slot corner size, but this guy plays the attack, like the catch point very well. So probably going to be a practice squad guy, but still. But they got some guys that are a corner if injury does occur. Like, I guess it's Seymour stepping in there. Do you really want to throw Armour-Davis to the fire like that? How much did Marshall play last year? Or was he hurt? He was, in fact, hurt towards ACL before the season. Okay. Man, dude, they dealt with so many injuries just before the season, and it just kept going. They kept getting hurt as the season went on. I love their biggest addition for me is Marcus Williams, one of my favorite safeties in the league. I still think we're gonna see a healthy dose of Chuck Clark next year, even despite drafting Kyle Hamilton. Chuck Clark led the team in snaps last year. He has just been consistent and healthy and available. But I do think we'll see Kyle Hamilton quite a bit. Keep in mind, this was their first round pick. They bring back Tony Jefferson. I think he ends up not making the roster. Ardarius Washington, I think, is a guy that also could probably makes the roster and could see some time in the slot or at least in dime packages. I was a big fan of him back in the 2021 draft. Was it 2021? I think it was 2021. Maybe it was 2022. I think it was 2021. Okay. So, yeah, it couldn't be 2022. That's the one that just happened. Okay. Geno Stone was another guy I actually really liked out of Iowa, I believe. Who's, again, this box safety sub-package guy. So it's like they have a lot of players. Like, it sucks whenever injury, happens. But they have necessary depth. They have guys that could keep a lot of these players fresh. So yeah, as long as because keep in mind the sheer amount of injuries that happened to the squad last year, it just made it rough. That defense wasn't going to compete. You saw freaking Don Martindale have to go to a lot of zone coverage more often, just because he was like, I can't put these guys on an island. I'm working with my cornerback 4 and 5 at this point. This is just not fair. So yeah, now I expect this team to be much better. I guess let's go ahead and talk about my projected starters, which basically I do this based on snap total. I don't really care about base formations. Tell me who's going to be on the field majority of the time. So let's go ahead and get into it as we start with the offense. Lamar Jackson, obviously, and then we got J.K. Dobbins as well as Patrick Ricard. Like I said, he basically has a starting role because this This guy's going to be on the field a lot. They like to use their extra blockers. Rashad Bateman, Devin Duvernay, then Mark Andrews. You could have easily put Nick Boyle here as well instead of Ricard, but the idea is the same. It's an extra blocker. Ronnie Stanley, hopefully stay healthy. I'm going to lean with Ben Cleveland winning the job, but could more than likely be Ben Powers. Could also be our boy, his name is escaping me. Patrick. There we go. Patrick Mkari. There we go. I spent that whole time pumping him up, and go ahead and forget his name when we get to projected stars. Tyler Linderbaum, Kevin Zeitler, and Morgan Moses. Going to the defense: Odafe Owe, Tyus Bowser, Cleus Campbell, Michael Pierce, Patrick Queen, Josh Bynes, Marlon Humphrey, Marcus Peters, and I think the safeties are gonna probably be the lead snap goers. Keep in mind, like, just a couple of years ago, this team loved 3 safety sets. So I got Marcus Williams, Chuck Clark, and Kyle Hamilton. Let's go ahead and get to my projection for this squad as I got them going. Bam. 11-6, making the playoffs, of course. I got them being 500 against winning teams, 6-1 against losing teams. Got a pretty decent schedule. They play at a tough division when your worst team is the Steelers, and they're not even that bad. Then, yeah, you got a tough division. Let's go ahead with the game by game. So I got them winning the first 2 games of the year, one against the Jets and one against my Miami Dolphins. Fins up. However, I do have them losing the next 2 AFC East games. Wow, so their opening schedule, the first 4 weeks, they face the AFC East. Okay, interesting. I got them losing to the Patriots and the Bills. I think it's very plausible, like them going 2-2 to open the year. Got them beating the Bengals at home, beating the Giants, beating the Browns at home, and then losing to the Bucks here, and then beating the Saints before they go into their bye, which means I have them with 6-3 going into the bye. Then they open it up the bye with the Panthers, the Jags, so it's not too bad there. I guess we'll see Baker. Maybe Baker's good for Carolina. I don't know. We'll see. Then I got them having a big win over the Broncos. If you don't know, now you know. The Broncos I'm pretty high on this year. Got them being the Steelers. So do I have them going? No, I have them going 3-3. Okay, so I have them being the Steelers. Then losing here to the Browns, beating the Falcons, and then losing out to the Bengals and the Steelers. And you could be like, oh, I don't think they'll lose out. And then cool, okay, let's just switch. Ravens win here, and then Steelers win here in Week 14. But I mean, hey, I think it bodes well for them that they literally end the year. They end the year with their last 5 games here. 4 of them are division games. So, like, if you're vying for, like, just that division title, that bodes well for you. That bodes very well. They got I think they have a lot of, like, I don't want to say easy, but easier matchups. You got to face the Jags. You got to face the Panthers. They get the Giants here. Giants fans aren't going to like to hear that, but could be the case. If the Jets, I mean, this is the first week of the season, so maybe Zach Wilson isn't that good. I don't know. We'll see. I got high hopes for Zach Wilson, just not this year. Just too busy with Cougars. But I think this is 11-6 is a safe record. I think they could definitely be better. Maybe they could maybe be a 12, maybe a 13-win team. Maybe I don't. I think 11-6 is pretty safe. Matter of fact, it wouldn't surprise me if their over under was 11. NFL win total odds. Here we go. And of course, we're going to Vegas Insider. It's 9.5. I'm betting that. I'm betting that. I'm betting that. But let me know what you think in the comment section below. This video kind of ran a little long because I felt like there was a lot to talk about. Or a little longer than past videos. But I felt like there was a lot to talk about. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. That's it for the video. Go ahead, do that YouTube thing as always. Until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.